Okay, June, which you've just finished yesterday, was Men's Health Month, and men have been encouraged to seek out early detection and treatment of preventable health problems such as postnatal depression. Yes, that's right. 1 in 10 men experiences depression after their partner gives birth. That's according to the American Medical Association. Well, to discuss this, we joined in the studio by obstetrician Dr. Howard Manyonga as we take a closer look at postnatal depression in men. Dr. Manyonga, good morning, and thank you very much.
Good morning.
Just an overriding question first. Yeah. When you say 1 in 10 men, you think, okay, it's a tenth. It's like it's not that big. Yeah. But how serious is it a problem? Is a problem this?
It is very serious. In fact, that statistic, 1 in 10, applies to the general population as well. So certainly the statistic here is applied to men whose partners have given birth, just 1 in 10. But generally, depending on the other parameters, it may be as high as 25 to 50%.
Because historically, we've always assumed that women are more prone to postnatal depression.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of focus on that. But to find out that men as well suffer from it, to some people might come as news. What is research showing?
So research is showing us that during pregnancy, 1 in 10 of the male partners actually develop depression. And then postnatally, there is a double the risk of the general population that men will get depressed, but additionally, men whose partners suffer from postnatal depression actually do have a higher risk.
What causes it?
Postnatal depression. So there isn't. So postnatal depression
in men. What would lead men? Yes. What would lead men from what you understand?
So from what the research tells us, there's not one specific reason. Okay. It's a number of factors. But included amongst them, if you have pre-existing anxiety, if you've got a family history of depression, and just the adjustment to the arrival of the baby, problems with money, baby crying bouts, and all those traces of adjusting to the arrival of a baby, but also additionally, men who have children under the age of 25 are at a much higher risk than older men, which speaks perhaps to the ability to cope and adapt.
Okay, is it first-time fathers?
First-time fathers indeed. Yeah, particularly those younger ones. And there is also emerging research that tells us that there may be some hormonal changes as well. So in women, it is well known that after giving birth, there is a baby blues, and that's really a result of the severe changes of hormones taking place in their systems. But we now know that similar changes may be taking place in men. So the level of estrogen, which is the female type hormone, and the level of testosterone, which is the male type hormone, all go through changes, and those can manifest in predisposed men as postnatal depression.
Okay, the predisposed men who could be men as well who've had a history of mental illness?
Absolutely. So men who have had mental illness, men with low self-esteem, men with money worries, and men who just have generally low mood.
Okay, so what are the symptoms that will make you, as a young father, as a man, to say, I think I've got PND, postnatal depression, PND, and what do I do about it? How do I get support and help? Is it treatable?
Yeah, so the commonest symptoms are really just a low mood that persists for weeks, feeling anxiety, a lack of sleep, a lack of pleasure in things that you would normally enjoy, a low sex drive, irritability, and some others might begin to self-medicate with taking alcohol, which coincidentally is a depressant itself. So rather than making things better, it might make things worse. And we also know that men who are depressed are more likely to abuse physically their partners. So that may be another symptom that we...
So if you're in a household and you notice that kind of behavior, change in behavior, including a possible abuse that suddenly is happening and nobody was known, that could be an alarm bell saying there's something going wrong here.
Yes, absolutely. And as you may know, Braden, that the gender-based violence is not a standalone issue. So it's part of a much wider set of problems, which includes depression.
So do you need to take medication for this, or can it be sorted out through counseling?
So depending on the severity of the depression. So let me start by saying those around the family must be on the lookout for these changes in behavior and have a high index of suspicion that somebody could be depressed. But once you think you are depressed, having excessively low mood, anxiety, not sleeping well, etc.,
and
becoming irritable, it's best to go and consult with a healthcare worker, a midwife, a doctor, or whatever healthcare worker you may get to. And depending on your severity, the healthcare worker will be able to prescribe treatment modality, which includes what we call talking therapies, which is just counseling, or indeed sometimes you can progress to antidepressants.
Okay, now, if you progress to antidepressants, do you have to take them for the rest of your life, or do you depend on the severity of it?
Well, you don't have to take it for the rest of your life, but the assessment by the specialist will be that you will take the medication for some time, typically for at least a year, because it takes quite a long time for the onset of action to kick in, and then it takes also quite a long time for the symptoms to be at bay before you tail it off. So
before it becomes normal again. So you must really
one of the big problems is the stop-start, that people who are depressed will begin to feel better, and because they're feeling better, then they stop. Then it comes back. And you're locked into this cycle of depression that can become now chronic depression.
So you need to avoid that by really following the treatment and complete the treatment. Thank you very much. That's Dr. Howard Manyonga focusing to us, because June was Men's Health Month and it just ended yesterday, and we wanted to talk about the fact that men also do experience postnatal depression.